This is Joshua Hart here for Seconds Out. Delighted today to be joined by my good friend, promoter, trainer, matchmaker, former fighter, Mr. Boxing himself, Carl Greaves. Carl, I can see you getting the badge in there, just making sure in case anyone acts rowdy, you're ready to stand on business. Now is everything, mate? You all good?
Yeah, good, Josh. How are you, mate?
I'm very, very good. All the better for being joined
Top
by
man.
yourself.
Good
Obviously,
stuff.
we've had a bit of a busy week in boxing last week, some massive stories, but we're going to start off, going to give some light to your show this weekend. You've got a great show in Newark, headlined with an English title eliminator, Tom Pogson, in a step up that he's wanted after his last fight I spoke to, and he said he wants that step up now, and you've only gone and delivered it. Just how excited you for Saturday night to, I think this is the final show of the year for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's my seventh and final show of the year. Been a busy year. I mean, I look back and I think it was 2016. I think I did about 15 shows that year. I just don't know how I managed to do it. Looking back now, because it's definitely getting tougher. But yeah, Saturday's looking good. It's a bit at the minute. Touch wood, it's a bit running smoothly. I've had a bit of a bad patch the last few shows. Financially been tough. Fight wise, they've been decent, but I've had a lot of pullouts, a lot of injuries, which is weakened the shows. But on Saturday, it's holding up at the minute and I'm looking forward to it. And like you say, we've got Tom Pogson stepping up against Sheriff Moose. He's 3-0, Tom's 6-0. Someone who's got to go, as they say. And Tom's wanted to step up in class, and he don't want to keep fighting the journeyman, the routine wins. He wants to push on and see what he can do in the game. And this is the perfect fight in the right time in the right direction.
It seems like a very good show. And it's always a lot easier for yourself to sell the cards when it is in your hometown, obviously Newark, where you're from. A lot of people around there. I remember when I just came for that meeting a few weeks ago, and we saw how many people knew as we would just walk into the little coffee shop. So it's a lot easier for yourself to sell it,
Yeah.
especially when it's on your doorstep, isn't it?
Yeah, I sell a few myself locally, which helps when the promoter sells a few, which is a rarity really. Promoters don't sell many. It's usually down to the fighters because, like I said before, outside their own areas, nobody really knows who they are. They need a bit more marketing, a bit more get the face out there more, and they won't do that until they get on the big shows. And this is why we do these small old shows to try and progress them and build them up to get onto the bigger platforms. But yeah, it's all good. I mean, Tom Pogson's a former ABA senior ABA finalist heavyweight, a couple of years on the trot, so he's a good fighter. He's got pedigree. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And obviously, you've got Jade Grayson. She's in a rematch with Varda Masuket, who's a bit of you know what I mean. She causes a lot of upsets over here. She's been in with the best fighters. Always gave him a good test, and been in with some major names over the years in British boxing. And she's fighting Jade in a rematch. The last fight ended in a draw at Grantham. And fair play to the team, to Dean Sugden, her trainer and manager, and Jade for wanting the rematch. And I'm glad I can deliver it.
And obviously, you mentioned wanting to get your fighters onto the bigger stage. A fighter who has been on the bigger stage, but now headlines on Box Nation, Emma Dolan. I know you've wanted to get her back out after that. I guess you could say career best win last time against Shannon Ryan. Are you just delighted, first of all, just to get her in a position now where she is headlining a show at such an iconic venue like York Hall?
Yeah, I mean it's great, and I appreciate Warren Boxing Management for giving the opportunity. I mean, Emma was actually sat on the table with him at the Commonwealth Awards, and they got chatting, and unfortunately, Matchroom decided not to give her a contract. Obviously, they had options on her when she beat Shannon Ryan. They had three options on her, and they decided not to execute the options, which was disappointing. They said that obviously they can't have two girls at the same weight. I mean, obviously Shannon has got a contract with Matchroom, even though she got beat. They've got to bring her back, and that's what they're going to have to do. And they was happy to have the rematch. They wanted the rematch, but unfortunately Shannon didn't want it, which meant there was no place for Emma with Matchroom. But like you say, I'm really pleased that she's got a chance to defend the Commonwealth title against Megan Redstall, who's no easy touch. She's a good fighter, and she'll give it everything she's got. And I'm really pleased that Emma can get out before Christmas because, like I say, she's number three in the world with the IBF. She's knocking on the door for a world title fight, and we just need to keep her busy, keep her active, and the big fights will come, and no doubt, because if she keeps delivering and performing like she did on the DAZN show against Shannon, then I'm sure that big things will happen for her.
Remember, obviously, we know we've got this fight coming up, but once this is out of the way, obviously had that little rest over Christmas. But 2025, is it all about closing in then on that world title and ultimately securing a world title shot for Emma Dolan?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you say, you can move women a bit faster, a lot faster than you can the males. Obviously, there's not the pool of fighters there for the women like there is the men. So she's 7-0 now. She's British and Commonwealth champion. She was ordered to fight for the European. She was managed for that, but at the time, like with obviously Matchroom releasing her, we never really had a promoter that could put a bid in for us because, like I said before, for them sort of fights, you need a TV promoter behind you. It's just financial suicide trying to bid for fights like that with no TV. So we obviously disappointingly we vacated a position, but then I looked at the IBF ratings and she was number 3 in the world, and the number one wasn't available at the time. Number two, they had visa issues. So I emailed the IBF and tried getting her a straight crack at the world title, but number two now has managed to sort out her visa issues, and I think she's going to be fighting for the world title against Imran Garcia. So, like I said before, I mean, just keep Emma busy, keep her active. That's the main thing, and then I'm sure she will get this world title fight by the end of next year.
And then just lastly, before we move on and look at the wider boxing sphere, obviously we know as always you've had a very busy year. I don't think there's probably a year in God knows how long now where you've not had a busy year in boxing. But looking back on 2024, while it's not fully said and done yet, how would you reflect on this year for yourself as a whole in boxing?
Yeah, I mean, I can't complain. I've had a few mixed results. Obviously, the highlight of it really was obviously Emma winning the British title, and then obviously I had David Avanesian fight Boot Ennis in Philadelphia, which was an unbelievable experience. And then, like I say, David did fantastic in that fight, considering the notice he had and the task he was up against. Um, David's still not done. Like I said before, he's going to be out on the 20th of December in Birmingham. Just hopefully get a win and put him back in the mix for big fights. I think he's number 4 in the world still with a Ring Magazine belt. So a massive opportunities for David are still available. And but yeah, on the whole, we've had a great year. I can't complain. My shows have all been well, gone really well. I've had some good results. I've also had a few disappointing results, but like I said before, I mean, I'm a grafter. I'll be in the game until I can't do it no more. I think training fights is getting difficult now. Obviously, trying to juggle everything, it's getting on top of me a bit. But I'm working hard. I'm keeping in there, and I'll keep pushing on, like I say, until the day I can't do it no more.
Oh, that's very, very good to hear. Glad to hear that you've always had a good year and you'll keep going a grafter. That's what we all love to see. And moving away now, and just looking at some of the big talking points. I think we'll start off, we'll go back to Friday night. We saw a fight, and I said this the whole build up. I'm sure every time my boss watches my interviews, he's probably sick of hearing me say this, but I'm going to say it again. I can't believe we're sat here in 2024 and we're seeing not just Mike Tyson fight, but fighting Jake Paul. But we know boxing works in mysterious, crazy ways at times, and I think this is one of those crazy ways where something's happened that realistically should have never happened in an ideal world. I don't know if you stayed up to watch it or you've seen any of it, but what did you first of all make of the matchup itself between Jake Paul and Mike Tyson?
Yeah, first and foremost, Mike Tyson should be nowhere near a boxing ring at the age of 58. I mean, it's all about the money, it's all about the revenue, and obviously it's created millions of pounds. But it was very, very sad to see. I didn't stay up and watch it. I wasn't going to watch it, but I put the highlights on yesterday. Well, I never put the highlights on. I put the whole fight on, and I saw the ring walks, and Mike Tyson just didn't look right to me. He looked like it reminded me of when Rocky Balboa come back to fight against forget his name now. Um, I forget his name, but anyway, it reminded me of that fight. And he was walking out, and he just didn't look right. And I was thinking, what the heck is this man doing in the boxing ring at 58 years old? And I put the fight on. I watched the first couple of rounds, and I had to switch it off. It was just so sad to see. His balance was all over. His timing was poor, which is going to be expected to. I mean, anybody that thought that Mike Tyson had a chance in that fight just don't know boxing. 58 years old. His mind was telling him one thing, but his body won't let him do it. Simple as that. It's like me now. It's like me trying it now. I'm a realist. Any fighter that's been in there, you know what I mean? Time is age is just when it catches up with you, you just can't do it. Boxing's not the place to be. The ring's not the place to be when you're getting older. And I watched 2 rounds and had to switch it off. It was just sad to see and very disappointing. It's made millions. It was a spectacle. Obviously, Jake Paul's ring entrance was fantastic. But as far as that goes, that was it for me. Just sad to see.
Just looking, I guess you said the ins and outs of the fights. So when the fight was first made, it was meant to be an exhibition fight. No knockouts, no nothing like that. And then you get a lot of backlash, especially in the position of Jake Paul, when you're out there making those claims of saying you want to fight Canelo and you want to fight all these big names. You're going to get the backlash. And with that backlash came a change in the rules. It became a sanctioned professional fight, which has gone down on the
Mm.
professional records. It was only 2 minute rounds, 14-ounce gloves. So it kind of had the exhibition rules
Yeah,
that was sanctioned as a professional fight. What do you think needs to change in an instance like that?
it should not be getting sanctioned. Whoever sanctioned that fight needs to look at themselves. They got sanctioned because there was a few brown envelopes passed about. Simple as that. There was a lot of money exchanging hands, and obviously they knew it was going to make millions, and that's why they sanctioned that fight. I mean, money talks, but it shouldn't talk. I mean, Mike Tyson's health is more important than money. Anybody's health is more important than money, and luckily Mike come out of it okay. But he just didn't look right from the first ball, and like I say, I had to switch it off. It was just sad to see. And his balance, his footwork, his timing, he just couldn't get into range, couldn't get into distance, and that's because he's just not there. It's just not there. I mean, it's not. He hasn't been there with Tyson for 20 years. Never mind coming back at his age now and trying it again. It was done when he finally got done by Kevin McBride. It was done them days. You know what I mean? So coming back and allowing him to come back, it should not have happened. And there's a lot of people need to look at themselves really long and hard and just give themselves a shake because it was sad to see.
I think one of the more concerning parts of the fight that people have started to bring to attention is after the fight and the post-fight interviews, Mike saying that he wants to fight against him, said he wants to fight Jake Paul's brother next, Logan Paul, to which Logan then responded saying, Mike, I'd effing kill you. When you're hearing
That's
things like
bad.
that
That's
go
bad.
about,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
how does that make you feel as a fighter, especially as someone who knows how much of a legend Mike Tyson is?
I know. I mean, you lose all that credibility. I mean, Mike Tyson was an unbelievable fight. He was an absolute animal, like I said, the baddest man on the planet. But why carry on and just degrade your name? Why do it? You know what I mean? I just don't know why they do it. Obviously, he does it because of the money, but some people just can't let go. You've been in the limelight for so many years, you just miss it and crave it, and you want it back. But Father Time's there, it's telling you that you can't do it no more. Boxing's a young man's game. I think past 30, it starts getting hard. I mean, I know like longevity now is a little bit better than it was a few years ago because of the way people's living now and all the supplements and the healthy foods and all that a lot different to how he was back then. But I mean, I'm talking like I'm an old man, but we never really had the luxuries like they've got today. And there's a longevity there, but um, I mean, past 30, it starts getting tough. It really does. And never mind at 58 years old.
And just lastly, obviously, we know that Jake Paul's going to keep going now, 11-1 as a professional boxer. Who what who do you want to see him fight next? When you look at that circuit, I guess you could say at heavyweight as well, but also at cruiserweight and maybe even like heavyweight for Jake Paul. But what type of names would you like to see him face next, or what kind of level of opponents?
I mean, we don't really know how good he is. I mean, obviously, did Tommy Fury beat him, didn't he? I think
Hmm.
is it Tommy? Yeah, Tommy Fury beat him. So, I mean, that's the sort of level he is. I mean, obviously, he's fighting, picking people at the right time and looking good. But I ain't really got any names in my head. But it would be nice to see him step up. It'd be nice to see someone give him a good hiding. To be honest with you, because you know what I mean? I mean, although he's bringing a lot of new faces to boxing, a different clientele, and getting a lot of YouTubers and people interested in boxing. really is not a proper boxing man. You need somebody in the game, really, a proper fighter who's done it from a kid, who's probably not earned no way near the money that he's earned or ever going to earn, and go in there and make a name for themselves and put him in his place. That would be nice.
Well, if you want someone to put him in his place, of all people, Artur has actually issued a message to
Yeah,
Jake
I
Paul.
seen that actually. Yeah, I seen that.
Is that a
That'll
fight
be
that interests you?
interesting. It is. It is. Yeah. Well, listen. Here's me sat here calling Jake Paul. I mean, if you want to beat somebody like that, then you'd have to give him massive respect and
Hmm.
say he is a proper fighter. But at the minute, you don't really know his sort of level and how good he is. I mean, he's looking all right at the level he's fighting at. But let's see him step up against somebody like that. And then if he does do well and hold his own and even cause a major upset, then you've got to give him mass credit and respect and say, look, he deserves where to be and he deserves the limelight he's getting because he's obviously beat a formidable fighter.
It's only right to give some attention to the undercard as well, and a great fight, a rematch between Katy Taylor and Amanda Serrano. We know
Yeah,
how good their first fight was, and the second one delivered, I think, even better than that first fight. What did you make of
yeah.
the next set of the 10 rounds that they shared?
It was a great fight. I did watch all that. I did watch all that yesterday. It was a very good fight. Serrano landed some hard, heavy shots. She shook Katie a couple of times, but Katie threw some fast combinations, sharp punching, was catching her on the counter, and it was a good fight. It was a close fight. I mean, people say it's a robbery. It wasn't a robbery. It could have gone either way. What a nasty cut Serrano suffered, though. I mean, a good-looking girl like that, obviously going in the boxing ring, you just don't like to see, and coming out the way she has done. I mean, she's probably going to need surgery on that eye because it just didn't look great. And she was complaining about the headbutts and the head clashes, but listen, it's boxing. You just get on with it. I mean, it's the way Katie fights. I'd like to say it's a man's game. I mean, but listen, that was a brutal woman's fight and women's fight, and Katie's done amazing. I mean, look what she's done for boxing. I mean, you've got to give her major credit. I mean, female boxing wouldn't be where it was today without Katie Taylor. She's got it to the level it's at today, and she deserves all the success she gets. But it was a close fight, like I say, it could have gone either way, and Katie got the decision. But it wasn't a robbery by any stretch of the imagination.
And just moving away, we saw a statement issued nearly 2 weeks ago now from Conor Benn saying that he's been cleared of any wrongdoing by the NADP. While still waiting for the full verdict from them or the board or UCAD to make a statement on it, as it stands in Conor Benn and Matchroom's perspective, he is a free man to fight. What do you make of, first of all, seeing, I guess you could say, there's 2 years of terror for them and Matchroom coming to an end now?
Listen, we will never know the story behind it. We will never know the truth. I mean, but is he cleared to fight in Britain?
I spoke to Frank Smith last week, and they said that he'll still need to apply to fight for. I think something about an international license. I'll need to go over and watch it
Yeah.
again fully. But he said he can fight in Britain.
Right. Oh, right. Interesting. I didn't think he could. Listen, he's always going to have that cloud over his head now. We will never know the actual truth. But, I mean, he's an entertainer. You know what I mean? He's the son of Nigel Benn, a boxing legend, and it's great to have him back. The fight I still want to make is him and David Avanesian.
Mm.
You never hear him calling David Avanesian out. Whether he thinks because he's been beat by Terence Crawford and Boot Ennis now that David's on the slide and you don't need David, he's past him, then that'll be very incorrect. I mean, we'd like that fight still. It never gets mentioned, unfortunately, but what a great fight that would be. But if not, I mean, fair play. I mean, Connor's a name. He's got a good team behind him, got a big promoter behind him, and he'll get where he needs to get. You know what I mean? Because of who he is and what he's doing.
One thing I've said, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about making, I guess, a rescheduled date between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. First of all, is that another? Obviously, I know you're going to prioritize your man David Avanesian, but is that a fight that would interest you as well, just from a fan perspective, between Ben and Eubank Jr.?
Yeah, I mean it's a great fight, isn't it? I mean you got the sons of two boxing legends, rivals. I mean it's going to sell well, and it's a great fight. You know what I mean? So maybe it will happen. We don't know. I mean there's talks of it happening. Um, Two different weight divisions. It'd be interesting to see what weight they actually fight at because I don't think Eubank can come any lower than middleweight for a fact. And Conor Benn's on about stepping up, so obviously he steps up to middleweight. You got to give him big respect and big credit for going in with Eubank at middleweight. So, but it is a great fight. You can't deny it. It's a good fight, and it will create a lot of interest. It will sell thousands and thousands of tickets. It will sell out a stadium, no doubt. And if it happens, fair play. But we've got to really decide which route that Conor Benn actually wants to go down. Is he going to stay at welterweight? Does he want to try and get what version of the world title, or is he just going to fight Eubank because he wants the name and he absolutely hates him and wants to put that fight to bed and get it done and dusted and then and move on after that, whichever weight division he decides. So it's an interesting one, but it is a good fight and it will sell well.
One thing that I've been saying to people is, do you feel the perspective of the fight has changed in the fact that when it was first made, the angle that they sold it on was the family history, the fact of what both
Yeah.
fathers had gone on to do in their careers. But due to the circumstances and what's gone on over the last 2 years since the cancellation, it's become a lot more personal between the fighters in my eyes. Do you agree with that view?
Yeah, definitely. There's no love lost there, is there? I mean, and I don't know what they'd be like if they boxed and after how they'd be, but at the minute they absolutely hate each other,
Hmm.
which is obviously there for everyone to see. I mean, Eubank will not forgive him for obviously failing a drug test when the fight was actually made first time. I mean, if it does happen, it's going to be 2 years, probably longer than it should have done. But I don't know. I mean, it's one of them. I mean, Connor is very ferocious, an angry man. You know what I mean? He wants to get in there and do the business, and Eubank's a bit more calm, a bit more relaxed. But if they fought each other, who would win? I don't know. I mean, Connor's ferocious. Eubank's going to be tight at middleweight. If it was at that weight, you'd probably have to fancy Connor. But yeah, it's definitely a personal fight.
Well, you kind of answered the last question I was going to ask, in who would you pick in the fight between them? But you've already answered that, so Carl, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you on Saturday in Newark.
Yeah, nice one. Thanks, Josh. Top man.
Perfect.